Shehzad Poonawalla, just very quickly to pick up from the point that was made about this budget, about budgets normally having some shadow of the election. Last time was on the eve of Delhi elections. There was a major tax break given, particularly for the lower middle classes, many of whom felt that they weren't getting enough out of budgets. Do you believe that that shadow still exists this time? Or will it be the vision statement that we are told that will dominate this budget?
First of all, good morning to both Rajdeep and Maria and the other people who have to come on a Sunday. And new tradition also in this way, that first budget from Kartavya Bhavan, from Atmanirbhar Bharat Bhavan. So now, having said that, Rajdeep, just before I come to your question, 10 seconds on something I heard before you were addressing with Sanjay ji, that why budgets are not open. Rajdeep, like me, you have studied law. We both didn't practice law, but you have studied constitution. Article 112 mandates that budget can have to be placed only before parliament, before it is put in the public domain. So it is constitutional the duty of any government that it cannot make the budget public, even if it has no issues on secrecy, because this is our parliamentary and constitutional obligation to first place it before parliament, and only then the budget can be made public. So just for your clarification, viewers' clarification also. Secondly, Rajdeep, the worst thing, the most important thing that people accuse us is कि ये मोदी को देखो, ये मोदी जी जो है ना, ये good politics को good economics बना दिए हैं. हमने GST, when we got in GST 2017, Gujarat elections were around the corner. Every political analyst said कि मत लाना GST. मोदी जी was the person who said मुझे चिंता नहीं वोट की, ये मेरे देश के लिए one tax one nation लाना है. उन्होंने लाया. We suffered little bit in Gujarat elections, but despite that we have bought that reform. And today, Rajdeep, I want to give you something that will be the key word of today's budget. It will be Gita. You will say, अरे इसमें भी हिंदू मुस्लिम कर दिया पूनावाला ने. Gita means G for growth, I for infrastructure, T for technology, and A for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Highest growing large economy in the world. We have gone from 11th position. Sorry?
Interesting. It will be, Shehzad Poonawalla, I've always said that if you can come up with these acronyms all the time, you will go very far in politics because this government likes acronyms. But we will keep that in mind. Gita is what you said.
But
Rahul Ahluwalia. Okay, just a minute. We've got limited time today. We've got limited time today. I'll give you 10 seconds more. Keep it at 10.
At least let me elaborate on my Gita. See, we are already registering highest growth. We have pushed in great capital expenditure in the last 10-11 years. Infrastructure pe boost hai. We have now made technology accessible to the public, digital delivery of services and goods. And 1 lakh crore rupees बेचते तो 1 lakh crore rupees जाता है. 85% is not being eaten up. And Atmanirbharta can be seen the manner in which our defense exports, our mobile phone exports have increased. And we are at lowest NPA, lowest inflation rates. And therefore, this gives us more room to boost the consumption, private consumption also, expenditure in infrastructure also. And despite the global headwinds, we are seeing it as an opportunity to diversify our exports by
will be briefing the spokespersons around 1:30, but Shehzad seems to be prepared much before that briefing that will be done by the finance minister.
One of the key, of course, aspects is for all the talking up of the economy, there are certain concerns. Private investment continues not to pick up. Rahul Ahluwalia, your founder director of Foundation for Economic Development, former Niti Aayog, should that be a concern for whatever has been done or not done in the last few years? Post-COVID, private investment has simply not picked up.
That's a great question, Rajdeep, and it's exactly what I wanted to talk about. So thank you. In fact, that's the big story of the last 5 to 6 years, right? The big concern has been private investment has not picked up. Our diagnosis is that private investment is not picking up in India because we are not globally competitive. If you think about manufacturing scale, if you look at the one big success story that India has had is Apple manufacturing iPhones in India. India is only 2% of Apple's global market. The only reason they are manufacturing iPhones in India is because they can export them to the rest of the world. We have to achieve this kind of competitiveness in every other sector. The investment not picking up is a signal that public capex and public investment in infrastructure is not the answer. So what is the answer? And I think the government is on the right track, and you've been mentioning it yourself on your show. Deregulation is the answer. Ease of doing business is the answer. A globally competitive business climate is the answer. So that's the big picture that we should be looking for from this budget. Deregulation, I just, one last point I'll make is it comes in two flavors. One is you have to reduce the obstacles. The other is you have to increase the certainty and the stability. And both of these things are really more signals that you can expect from a budget. Concretely, I think tariff is the one big thing that we should expect. Tariff rationalization and tariff lowering is something that I'm really looking forward to, at least in the budget.
Okay. Rajiv Memani, President CII, good person to get on that. Private investment, just not picking up. And I'd like you to give me a good answer as to why that's happening, Rajiv.
Hi Rajdeep. No, I don't think it's accurate to say that private investment is not picking up. I think private investment may not be growing to the extent that we all want to desire. But I think private investment is picking up in the last 12 months, 18 months. Even if you look at the data for March 25, I think private investment showed good signs. I think during the first quarter of this year, it slowed down a little bit because of all the tariff-related uncertainty, but it started picking up again. So I don't think it's accurate to say that private investment is not picking up. That's first. Can it do better? Surely it can do better. I think there's much greater potential. Balance sheets are under leveraged. Economy is growing very well. So it should be picking up much more. And I think my personal view is that it will pick up more as capacity utilizations go up. And I think as we have more focus around ease of doing business, more focus around factor cost of production efficiencies in India, more focus around which are the goods and services that India really wants to focus on. Maybe a list of 7,500 goods that India wants to focus on. I think it'll get a boost further. One of the other reasons, Rajdeep, that there is a challenge also is because of the global uncertainty, and you have large manufacturing capacity that's built up in one part of the world. I think there is always the price volatility, commodity volatility that happens because of that. And also the amount of technology and investments that's gone there. I think sometimes even for private sector to take that risk and leap of faith, they would need some more, maybe that's why I said focused PLIs, focused incentives to ensure that they're able to weather the initial storm when they're looking at setting up large investment capacities in India.
Maria, you have the numbers.
Yes, so if we were to look at the private investment trends, the latest trends in India, sir, it looks like, in terms of financial year 2023-24, it was around 4.2 trillion rupees. In 2024-25, it did go up, but in 2025-26, it is around 4.89. What do you think should be done, Rajiv Memani, in this sector then, for the private sector to pick up that trend, because that's needed?
No, it is. I think it is picking up. I mean, if you go sector by sector, you can say that the numbers are picking up. As I said, the first half of this year, it was slightly slower because of what was happening in the rest of the world. But private investment is picking up. Having said that, as I said, there is always more that can be done given where Indian economy is. My first thing is, I think we need to have, as was said earlier by Rahul, I think on ease of doing business, on factor reforms, I think India needs to be more competitive. Land reforms, availability of land. It takes more time to set up plants, projects in India. And I think the government has done a lot in the last 6 to 12 months. I think we also need to communicate much more. So I think that's one area that I think we need to be doing more. And secondly, I think we need to have, we talked about the success in electronics manufacturing and others. In semiconductors, we are seeing good success. One of the reasons for that is we have a very clearly laid out incentive scheme, especially in newer areas and others, PLIs or other incentives that have been given. I think for chosen products where India wants to be, as was said in the economic survey, where we want to be, strategically well-positioned, strategically resilient or dominant, whatever the word used is. I think those products we need to identify and have a clearly laid out path in terms of technology partnerships, incentives, buying preferences, long-term glide path on customs. I think those are the areas that we need to look at, and as was again said by Rahul earlier, I think if we have customs duty rationalization, that we will, at least for the raw material products and others, that will also make India competitive. I do believe that as India signs the FTAs and once these FTAs become effective, which will take, which could take 6 to 12 months depending on the FTA we're looking at. If that happens, then that will give another boost to manufacturing
Right.
in India. But I do agree, Rajiv. I
Dr.
think
Maru, you wanted to
manufacturing
put a
is
word
going to
in.
be one of the central things.
Sorry, Rajiv. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead, Rajiv.
This is when I miss Rahul Bajaj. You said earlier about Indian business giving 11 out of 10 for every budget. The fact is
I
that
said it a few days ago. Yes,
Yeah.
maybe yesterday. Yes.
the fact is that private investment has not been picking up for 10 years. Forget about last quarter or the last year. For 10 years, it's been stagnant. And the government, the finance minister herself asked Indian business, why are you guys not investing? We talk about animal spirits. I wish Indian industry were more forthright in telling the government why they are not investing, rather than fudge around and say, no, it's going up a little, it will go up. Come on, there is a major problem of confidence.
Yeah, go ahead, Rajiv.
No, so I would say private actors are rational. If you look at capacity utilization, it's been stuck below 80%.
Exactly.
So why would people put up more capacity if your
precisely.
existing
So
capacity is
those
not
are the
utilized?
questions.
No, but isn't it partly, or at least that's the explanation given, that we live in extremely uncertain times?
No, Rajiv,
And the
it's about
geopolitical
demand.
risks are such.
I'm afraid that's not the answer. The real problem is demand. Why is capacity utilization low? It's not,
No, it's not low. I think it's optimal.
No, it's
So
not
private
optimal. It's
actors
below
are rational.
80%. Optimal, you say optimal when you hit 80%, that's when companies begin to look at future investments. It's been below 80%.
Let me bring
My take on this is it is productivity driven.
Demand is not picking up.
So productivity is making your assets sweat better.
No, but unless you get demand, unless domestic demand picks up,
There
the
is a
government has
demand
made
problem.
efforts
Clearly
to
the
do that.
economy has been growing, right? The
It's been
economy has
growing,
been
but
growing.
why is it therefore, when the economy is growing, when your macroeconomic numbers are so solid, why is it that investors are still not putting their money where their mouth is the question?
One data point and one question. Data point is Indian companies are sitting on at least 6 lakh crores.
Yes.
Okay. The question they are asking is, what do we produce that China is not able to sell in India? Because we are not competitive against China on across the board.
But Shankar,
things.
demand is also not picking up.
That's a
That
secondary.
is why you gave those GST
So demand
reductions
has come
so
from
that
more
automobile
service-led industries.
demand
No,
goes up.
But I'm also joined at the moment by Varun Santosh of the Congress. I'll go to Shehzad in a moment because he wants to respond. But Varun Santosh, it's all very easy to say, that private investment has not picked up. This government has done a lot to encourage private investment over the years. They've given various incentives. We can go to the corporate tax breaks that took place a few years ago. But for some reason, private investment is reluctant to invest. Now, is the fault lie with the government or does it lie with the investors? Does it lie with private sector? You're sitting on 6 lakh crores, but you're unwilling to put your money, I come back to it, where your mouth is. You'll come on our shows and say, yes, we want the animal spirits of the economy to revive, but they're not reviving.
Rajiv, who marshals the resources
The
of the
banks
country?
also have been
It's the
restructured.
Prime Minister.
So you've got all that in place. The banks have been restructured. Why is investment not picking up?
See, what is the duty of the Prime Minister? To marshal the resources of the country to make it work for India, for Team India, right? Now, why is private investment not picking up? Because 8 lakh crore of, tax cuts have been given, yet demand has not picked up. Is because it's a complete mismanagement of the economy, of the Prime
No,
Minister.
those are, give me
No.
the exact mismanagement of the economy. How? Give me an example.
Right. Now, let's take the economic survey. The government's own economic survey of last year said that, quoting Lowy Institute of Australia, that power gap of India is -4, which is the worst in Asia after Russia and North Korea. Which basically means, what is the power gap which Lowy Institute says? We have great economic resources, we have a great youth dividend, we have a great R&D system and tech ecosystem, yet we are not able to marshal all of this to work for Team India, which is a 140 crore people. Why? Why? Because let's go back to Gita, right? Which Shehzad Poonawalla said. Gita says, Karmanye vadika raste ma phaleshu kadachan. Do your work and let the fruits play out.
Rajiv,
What
Kiran
the
Rijidu-
politics of BJP is that they only focus on the politics, the fruits of power, and not delivering it to the people.
No, these are all, you see,
are we getting consistently
Sean of political
7%
rhetoric,
plus
I
growth
want
for so many
specifics.
years? Please answer that.
We've
Criticism.
got a quick response from you, Shehzad Poonawalla. You see, this is the major challenge ahead of the budget.
Rajdeep,
What are you actually going to do to revive the animal
Yes.
spirits? As I said, government has made various efforts, but they are not effectively working on the ground in terms of private investment. That's the reality. Capex is what is driving your growth. It is not what should be driving your
Rajdeep.
growth, which should be private investment.
Rajdeep, now please be fair to me and give me 30 seconds before you make your next intervention. First of all, if you see the corporate investment announcements, in H1 FY25 it was 7.9 lakh crore and now in H1 FY26 it is 14 lakh crore plus. Secondly, gross fixed capital formation is up by 7.8% in this FY, and apart from that it is up to 30% of our GDP. It used to be 27% of the GDP in 2014. If you are saying this has not happened, then let me give you specific examples what we have done. Look at the investments that have come in through the PLI scheme. Look at the fact that we have now streamlined the labor codes. Look at the fact that now we have even boosted the consumption through GST 2.0 reforms. Look at the ease of doing business. And yes, कर्म करना केवल हमारी चिंता नहीं, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की भी है. The regulation process that we are easing from here, we are removing compliances, we are removing archaic laws. What are the states? State governments also have to do their bit. They can't do Rajniti in the studio and then
But
come and
most of
lecture
these
us.
states-
Please tell me, Rajdeep,
Shehzad,
today,
most
the
of
manner in
these
which the
states
labour
are governed
codes
by
have
the
been reformed.
BJP.
1 second, Maria, just 10 seconds. Maria, हमारे स्टेट में तो अच्छा ही हो. For instance, I'll give you the state you are sitting in, Noida, Uttar Pradesh. In that place, we have now got a very progressive labor code. In fact, it allows the women to do the night shift also. But what is the Rajniti that Kerala does? कभी बोलो ना, बंगाल क्या राजनीति कर, बंगाल के लीडरशिप क्या राजनीति करते लेबर कोड पे? Why aren't they doing the labor code reforms properly? Why aren't they following the lead that the central government is following? So reform process and regulation को enabling environment में करना is also the duty of the states. Many of the things are also dependent on the state government. Having said that, secondly, now see, I am sure Congress will have problem with Gita, but let me give you just one example, Rajdeep. There used to be 2 mobile phone manufacturing units or assembling units in this country. Today there are 300 plus. ये किसने बनाया? ये जिन ने बनाया क्या? Is this not a reality? Is this not a reality that today India is self-sufficient in its own mobile phone requirement? First, we used to import it, because of which we used to pay import bill for electronic goods. Please, Rajdeep, tell me, toys we used to import, 70% of our toys was from China. Today we are exporting toys up to 37%. Defense goods exports have increased to 23,000 crores.
Shehzad,
ये कौन बना रहा है?
But
Who's
Rajdeep, this is
Shehzad-
an interesting data here. If you look at it in terms of FDI for various states, it's Karnataka, which is not a BJP ruled state, which is in fact a Congress-driven state. It has $5.69 billion investment. So that's what it looks like right now, moving to Maharashtra at 5.36, Tamil Nadu 2.67. So in top 3, it is the opposition ruled states.
Except Maharashtra, which is
Of
of
course,
course
which-
BJP ruled state. No, but before we make it a political debate, one last word I'll give you and then I'll move to Chandrajit Banerjee.
No, what is the real wage growth of India? That's the data that we should focus on. 0.01% over the last 5 years. Devastating number this is. 0.01% real wage growth of Indians over the last 5 years. This is
Partly
government's,
colored by the fact that 2 of those years were COVID years.
but still over the last 3 years, right? So COVID is far gone now. Now, why are they failing? Because they're passing the buck again now. And sorry, Shehzad, Karnataka is leading, as Maria just pointed out. And point number 2.
Karnataka was in the top even when the BJP was in power. It's not as if Karnataka has suddenly become the number 1
No,
state
so-
once the Congress. You see, this is the problem. You all cherry pick what suits you all.
So let's go back to the basics then. Who leads Team India? It's the Prime Minister's job. He's the head coach.